If you want to find a place that's super cheap, super affordable, you've got to find a place that no one wants to live in. So I always get asked the question, how come a place is so damn expensive? It's simply supply and demand. Now these two words, supply and demand, people use this so loosely. Let's explain it. If you have one house and one person, this sort of situation doesn't really exist in the world. If you have like 3 houses and like one person, well, obviously these 3 houses are trying to sell to this one person. They're going to lower their prices to be competitive, to match that one person's desire to purchase their property. But then they've also got the case where there's 3 or 5 buyers for like a single property. When you're in this particular situation, well then who's in power? The guys that are the buyers. Why? Because they're all fighting for this one property. That's supply and demand. But what impacts the demand? So as you can see, we're in the Northwest. The Northwest and any place that has super high demand is because of a few different things. And I'll break it down into 3 simple ways. So as you can see from my body shape, I love to eat. I'm gonna take this acronym of PI. P, the population and the place. What is it close to? What is it accessible to? That's the place. When you talk about the population, what type of demographic is in that area? Is it growing families or is it young investors? These impacts are going to see whether or not that place is growing in population. So that's the P of pi. I, infrastructure and immigration. When we talk about infrastructure, those are things that make living in a place or getting to a place worthwhile. So things like schools, things like playgrounds, places to eat, anything that creates a bit of a lifestyle, that bit of infrastructure that has been man-made and to support that community, that pumps a lot of demand to that area. That's the I of pi. When we talk about E, we're talking about employment and education. A big part of growth and growing population and demand is education. So are you close to a particular school that is ranking really well? These schools are a key selling point, so people will fight to be a part of those catchments. And when we talk about employment, of course, people like to live close to where they work or at least not too far from there. So places like the CBD, Parramatta, these are major hub spots for employment, but not everyone can afford those locations. So you got to look at other places, like look at Macquarie Park. Why is this in such high demand? Well, it houses some of the highest amount of tech companies and developing companies. So PIE, population, place, immigration and infrastructure, and E, employment and education. These are the key things that affect the demand of an area.